Our first question comes from Beggars Clan 090, and he writes, I have studied Chinese martial arts from an outside perspective, specifically with its application of weapons utilization. In your opinion, which weapons are the most effective? P.S. Legendary Weapons of China is my favorite film all time. Okay. Thank you for the question, Beggars Clan 090. Appreciate it. Okay, let me clear up a couple of things so we can get started on this question. First of all, it's just an opinion. I'm not an expert. I don't claim to be one. And I've only actually ever trained on one specific weapon, which would be the bow staff, right? So that's as far as my knowledge can go as far as actual hands-on application expertise, if you will, is with the bow staff. I can't speak to any other weapons other than just give you my opinion. So I just want to just put that disclaimer out there right from the get. Okay. And your question, there's a lot of big words in there. So I want to make sure that I'm understanding, because you're saying from an outside perspective, and then you say specifically with its application of weapons utilization. So outside perspective, you studied Chinese martial arts. So outside perspective, right off the bat, that kind of throws me off. I don't know what that means. Are you a practitioner? Are you a historian? So I don't know what specifically you're saying. And then when you say weapons utilization application, I'm not sure exactly what do you mean. Again, do you mean its utilization in as a form? So in forms, you mean weapons applications? Do you mean like actual fighting, right? Actual fighting, utilizing weapons? Are you talking about during war, ancient history war? I would need you to be a little bit more specific so that I could at least contextualize what you're saying. But if I'm just taking your question on the basic premise, you're asking me what weapons do I believe are the most effective in Chinese martial arts, then my answer would be to you, anything that gives you as much distance from your opponent, right? So long form weapons, any weapon that provides distance between you and your opponent. That's what I believe, right? Close combat weapons are effective, but again, it depends on the circumstance and the situation. I also want to say that it also depends on the skill level of the person that's using the weapon, right? Two people, I'm gonna use practical weapons. Two people both have a Glock. Two people have a Glock, right? But one is fast with quick draw, right? One knows how to shoot straight on, and maybe the other one doesn't, right? Or watch too many movies and likes to shoot the gun sideways, whatever stupid crap that is, right? Someone's going to be better at utilizing guns, going to get their shots off more cleanly, more accurately, faster. And there you have it. Same thing with when you're talking about Chinese martial arts weapons. I have my beliefs. I have my personal theories on it. For example, I think that a staff gives you a lot of distance. I think that swords can be effective with giving you range while still being able to give damage or to damage your opponent, to wound your opponent. Weapons like spears, for example, bow staffs. I think a weapon that I've seen used that I think is very effective are rope darts. I think that rope darts are a fantastic weapon. Yeah, I mean, it's a very strange question, and I don't. Again, my expertise or my knowledge on the subject matter is, to be honest with you, if I'm being honest, very limited. Because I'm not trained on a lot of those martial arts weapons. I will say, like for me, like a weapon such as like the Guangdong, right? Beautiful weapon. I've seen some fantastic forms, but I don't think it's practical. and I think that it requires a lot of wide swinging. Though I do know that if you shorten your grip and bring your hands closer to the blade, you can do a lot. You can wield it a lot faster, and there's a lot more things that you can do with it. So again, it's really about who's using it, the circumstance. The fact of the matter is that there's no one walking around with a bow staff. There's nobody walking around. I don't think there are people walking around with a Tang sword, right? So it's an interesting question. I'm probably, if I'm being honest, I'm probably not the best person to answer it, because again, my knowledge as far as utilizing a staff would be a staff, a bow staff, which I consider myself to be fairly competent with. But swords and things like that, this is not my get down. So I'm sorry. With respect to the movie Legendary Weapons of China is an incredibly great film. Like, really good film. It's a good film. And nobody dies in the film. Well, except for the poor guys at the beginning of the film who get shot with bullets. Those guys who were practicing pugilism. But it's a great film. So you have good taste. I'll say that. I'm still not sure I understand your line of questioning when you talk about, being from an outside perspective. And I would love for people who see this video in the chat to help me understand that question, because I'm not sure the way that you framed it was good. It's probably why I can't answer this question as competently as I would probably like to. But I will say, again, if you're asking me which weapons I think are the most effective, I think weapons that give distance. So a bow staff, anything with a long handle, a spear, rope darts, bow and arrow, a blowgun, things of that nature. That's what I think. But in the chat, maybe perhaps some of you can answer this question. Comment below and let us know. Tell us what you think some of the most effective Chinese martial arts weapons are. We really appreciate that. I want to thank Beggars Clan again for the great question. And let's move on to the next question. Okay, let's go.